Here, hopefully it's all working out. First time doing this on the phone. Let me know, guys, in the chat if the audio is coming through, please. If anyone's in here right now, just so I know. All right. I'm just gonna pull it up here. Make sure it's all working all right. Okay. Just make sure it's coming through. It's coming through all right. Okay, I'm gonna be rigging up some tip-ups today. It's the ice fishing season here in Montana. Finally, it's about time. You know, I think it's January 11th right now, and we're just now getting early ice down in the valley. I've heard that some of the reservoirs more up in the mountains have already gotten some ice, and ice fishermen have been out. But this year, my big goal is really to figure out the walleye and perch. You know, I figured out the burbot, the ling pretty well the past few years, but this year the walleye are really what I'm after. So we're gonna rig up tip ups. I got a bunch here over Christmas, and the reservoir that's closest to me here that I'm gonna be looking at and fishing most, hopefully, I can have up to 6 lines per person, which is pretty nuts. Like, I'm used to ice fishing in my Wisconsin. That's where I learned how to do it. And there it was 3 lines per person, I believe, if I remember. Yeah, 3 lines per person. So 2 tip ups, and then, you know, your jig and rod. But here in Montana now, I can get up to 6 lines. So 5 tip ups, which, you know, we're probably going to go probably 2 to 3 or 4 of us at a time. I mean, let's say 4 of us go. That's 24 lines into water, which is nuts. Now, the reservoir we're going to, it's decent from what I hear for walleye. You can definitely get some big perch, but it's a big reservoir and you really have to put in the miles to kind of, you know, figure them out. So my strategy is just going to be have a bunch of tip ups out, have some jigging lines out, and just kind of figure out where they're at. And I got a whole new sled pulling harness for the first time this year, so it's going to be a lot easier pulling sleds. And you know, also just being out there with more people. I got a new shanty, which I'm really excited about. So the shanty should be a welcomed addition to the ice fishing set. But now to the tip ups. I'm going to just show you guys how I rig these up. It's just how I've done it in the past for walleye in Wisconsin. I'm going to test that here as well. Hopefully it works in this reservoir. The only difference from my usual rig that I'm going to have is I'm going to have more leader, but I'll get to that in a bit. So I got these round clam tip ups here. These were actually on sale for Black Friday for, I believe they were $11 a pop, which is insane. And shout out Gerald Schneider, Lindy's mom, got us a bunch of them for Christmas. Oh, and her dad, Wayne. Thanks you guys for getting those for us, because, you know, they're definitely going to be helpful. I put already the line on there, 50 yards of ice fishing line. With these reels, you can actually do more, it looks like. 50 yards should be all right. You know, if we feel like we have to add more, we'll do it at some point in the season here. If you don't know how to put this on, it's pretty simple. You really just, you know, and like any other spool, like fishing spool, you just, there's a bunch of different knots you can use. The way I do it, I just always tie a normal overhead knot, make sure it's tight, put like 3 more knots in there, and then put a little bit of tape on it and start reeling it up, making sure I'm going up and down the spool here so that it's on there nicely. But these seem to be pretty good. I mean, they came with a weight and 2 little bobbers, so that's pretty cool. But how I'm going to do this now is I'm literally going to take the ice fishing line, some of it, and then we're gonna put on a swivel. Now for walleye, they're pretty finicky, especially out here from what I hear. They don't like to see a lot of lures and they don't like to see a lot of just tackle in general. So, you know, not using any swivel might actually be not a bad idea. I'm gonna try it now because I bought them. I got a size 7 here, which you can probably honestly go a little smaller here. I just wasn't sure. I didn't have the line size like in the back of my head when I was shopping for swivels. And what I've done in the past, I've done the mistake of just getting swivels that where the eyes here of the swivels, the holes are too small, and then you can't put the ice fishing line on there neatly because that tends to be a bit thicker in diameter. But I am just gonna thread it through this swivel, and I have barrel swivel here, size 7 again, and just tie a normal fisherman's knot, a normal like improved clinch knot. So I know I'm pretty far away from the camera here. Look up how to do this if you don't, but if you're a fisherman, you already know this knot. Basically just going through that eye, wrapping the line around a few times, usually like 5 to 6 times, and then putting it through the little loop that got created down here. It's probably hard to see from all the way over there. And looping it through the top loop again then. So through the bottom loop, and then you create this top loop, put it through there. Hey Mike, thanks for joining. I got the chat here pulled up on the laptop next to me. Yeah, we're doing walleyes this year. Do you fish, Mike? I'd be curious. You do all the foraging and hunting. I bet you do a bunch of fishing too. So I'm just getting it wet here now. That's just kind of what you want to do with fishing line, and then I'm tightening it down as much as I can. There we go. Yeah, Mike does fishing too. Shout out Mike Mason. Always in the live streams. Thanks for joining, brother. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm just showing how I rig up my tip-ups for walleye. So Mike says he's got walleye where he lives, but usually targets the saugers. That's cool. I've never targeted saugers specifically. How do you go about that? Is there a special rig you use? And what do you do with them? Are you eating them? Let me know in the chat. So now we just got this tag end here. I'm gonna cut that off. I should get some music on maybe. Maybe I'll do that later. Gotta figure. I'm doing the mobile streaming here on the phone for the first time, so I know it caps me off at a few people with the mobile stream. Might have to do this on the computer next time again. So got the swivel on, got a good knot. Now we're gonna tie our leader line on there. I'm using a Suffix Invisalign Ice. This is the best one I could find at the store. It's 100% fluorocarbon. I like fluorocarbon the best for this. And it's 6 pounds. Where I'll be fishing this year for walleye and perch, the walleyes don't get huge, you know. And I don't know, I like to be pretty sneaky with the tackle setup for walleyes. But I'm learning about them this year in Montana. Like, I'm still pretty new to walleye fishing in Montana, and also the reservoirs here and the rivers are so clear. The water is so clear, which is why I'm going with the Invisalign here. Could have probably even gone with like a white tip-up line. But now again, we're gonna tie another improved clinch knot, a normal fisherman's knot, on the other side of this swivel here, this barrel swivel. And again, this is a size 7 barrel swivel. Just wrap it around. I usually do 5 to 6 times. There we go. I'm pretty excited, guys. Like, ice fishing is my favorite type of fishing. In the last 2 years, I didn't have a bunch of time to get out with during my day job at Guide Fitter. I do a lot of trade shows during this time of the year, and sadly I'll have to be gone for most of February, which is usually when the best ice is out here. but that's just how it is. So again, normal improved clinch knot here, putting it through that bottom loop, putting it through that top loop, and then we're going to tighten it down. If you guys watching right now, if you love to ice fish, love to hear more about it, drop it in the chat. There we go. That probably didn't sound too appetizing over there in the camera. Getting all that saliva on that line. Cutting my tag end off here. Let's see what we got. There we go. Now we got leader. So like I mentioned, usually I do, like when I would fish for walleyes in Wisconsin, I would do like 2 feet, 2 to 3 feet a leader. Out here with these reservoirs being so clean, my buddy really recommended 5 feet. So we're going to do like about 5 feet here, which seems a lot, but you know, I'm just going to try it. This is going to be a learning process this year. Hopefully we get into the walleyes. We're going out tomorrow. So I'll be filming a vlog while we do it tomorrow. Hopefully we get into them. That would be awesome. And it's early ice. The place we're going to, where the ice is, Lindy's brother has kind of been scouting out over there for us. And he said, I think it's about 8 feet around that base. It's not super deep, but we'll see. All right, now for hooks, I'll be using a red treble hook. And then I also got some pink ones, single hooks. I know in this reservoir, pink lures do really well. So I figured why not try some pink single hooks. And also again, the walleyes can be finicky. So just going with a single hook is probably not a bad idea. And just having a few different rigs and different tip ups will allow me to really kind of figure out what you're going for. But first, let's do this treble hook, size 8, red. I like red hooks. They seem to be doing a little better for me. I don't know why. Maybe it's just preference. Again, just a normal fisherman's knot in the back here. Attaching that hook to that leader line. Let me see here. Yep. Mike, if you're still here in the chat, I'd love to hear what you do with the saugers. If you cook them, I don't know. I've never gone after saugers, so. All right. Again, just fisherman's knot. Wrap it like 5-6 times. I'm always on that, like 5-6 times is usually the money for me, but hey, I know people do it differently. Also kind of depends on the size, the diameter of the line and all that. But this is pretty thin line, the 6 pound here. Get it back on there. Guys, I saw that we're 1 away from 400 subscribers here on YouTube. So if you're new, if you're watching new right now, hit that subscribe button. We're 1 away from 400. Who's going to be 400? That's so exciting. That went fast this year, I feel like. We're going to try to get to the 1,000 for sure this year. 1,000 subscribers would be awesome. So for whoever just joined new, I can't see it here. I got my phone all the way over there, but welcome. I'm just showing how I'm rigging up my tip ups for walleye. It's going to be one of the first times I really go after walleye with tip ups here in Montana. I jigged for them before, but never really targeted them too much. So Mike said that saugers to walleye of the river, cook them up same way you would your walleye. All right. Yeah, I've seen pictures of them, of the walleye, of the sauger, and they look very similar to walleyes. I don't know if they're in the same species or what. Probably, if they are the walleye of the river, as Mike says here. All right, we got our treble hook on. Now from here on, all I really need is a split shot. We will be fishing in a reservoir, so there might be some current. So it's kind of like always a little. You kind of got to just kind of figure out how heavy you got to do the split shot. So I think I'm actually going to add the split shot tomorrow while I'm there. We'll do one now. I'm just going to use like a medium-sized one. If I have a live minnow, I like to keep the split shot pretty low to the hook, but out here in Montana, you can't use live minnows. Lindy in the chat here is saying she loves an herb butter walleye. My grandpa used to wrap them whole in tinfoil with butter and toss them on the fire when we'd go out. I still remember my brother eating the eyes. Oh, shout out Garrett. The eyes are a great, delicious part of the fish to eat. You know, if you're into nose to tail eating, if you understand the value of eating liver, eyes, all that stuff, all the odd bits, there's a lot of nutrition in a lot of those parts. Might sound gross, but it is good. You can actually also take the fins of certain fish, mostly all fish. I probably wouldn't take any spikes, but if you get like back fins, dorsal fins, fry those up in some tallow and they're like almost like chips. It's really nice, really tasty. So I'm probably just gonna go like a foot or two above, and then I'll have to probably adjust this split shot tomorrow depending on, you know, what the current is doing, what the current situation is out there. Going to a new place or new bay. So it's all learning process here. But yeah, from here on out, I'm just gonna spool this up. And then we're gonna do the next one. Thanks for hanging out, guys. So Mike said, I use a crappie pole about 10 foot long. Chartreuse and red jigs usually include a third color on a second jig. Okay. They like 3 colors. Sauger is a subspecies of walleye, I think. Awesome. Nice. So how big do they usually get? If you're getting using a crappie pole, Mike, they're probably, what is that, like a medium light pole, maybe? Yeah, Mike says he also loves to smoke his fish kosher with honey and cayenne. Yes. I'm hoping like where we're going, there's a good chance we'll definitely be catching some big old rainbows. I caught a rainbow in a reservoir next to the one we're going to that was, I think, 4.9 pounds. Ice fishing on a tip down with like really light line, and I had to hand line it in. That was super fun. It was crazy because the ice was so clear. You could see the fish just spinning and fighting me while I'm pulling it in. And yeah, if we get a bunch of trout this year, I think we'll be smoking that. I've never tried smoking something like a walleye, like a whitefish, I don't think. I don't think I've done that really. I feel like I've had it before, but I don't think I've done it myself. But trout for sure. I love smoking trout. Just a simple salt brine. I'll have to, the honey and cayenne, Mike, that sounds really good. I'll have to try that. So I'm just putting this, reeling this up here, and then this first tip up will be ready to go. And again, I'll be filming the vlog tomorrow of our first time ice fishing this year, so that'll be on YouTube. Keep an eye out for that. Should be a fun time. Hopefully we'll catch something. But it's fishing, so you never know. You never know what you're gonna get. It's just how it is. Mike said he uses about an 8-pound test line. 14 inches is the minimum length where I am for the sauger, he says. And I've caught bigger ones though. Over 20 inches is possible. Those are good eaters, I feel like. You know, between like 14, 20 inches. I'd eat that all day over one of those giant walleyes. And I mean, I fish for the food, so you know, I'd love to catch a big one, but it's not like the most important thing for me. There we go. I'm excited to see how these new tip-ups here perform from Clam. You know, got the standard flag. They got some insulation in there, which is important, especially out here where we're fishing. There's very high wind, so I hope tomorrow while we're filming, that's not going to get annoying and be an issue. But first, tip-up done. Let's do another one. Before I do that, also, I like to use a hand auger setup with the bit up here to, and then like a hand drill. I have a Milwaukee drill. That's worked great for me so far. I've never had a, like an actual gas auger. I'll probably invest one or buy one at some point, but this has worked great and it was much more budget for me. Let me grab the auger bit here real quick. So all this is like this bit you can buy. You take the top part of the hand auger off, put that in there, and then I lost my pin, so today I had to get this stainless steel eye bolt. They didn't have pins at our Ace Hardware that would fit, so that should work. We'll try it out later and make sure that's all working well. But that's what I use for an auger setup, and it's just a 6-inch, which, you know, again, I'm not catching giant fish out here usually, so that's the 6-inch holes are fine. For ice fishing line, I just used a Beaver Dam ice fishing line. Nothing special, but, you know, it's always done pretty well for me. Let's do another one. If you guys have any more questions, drop them in the chat. I'll try to answer what I can. Or just come hang out with me, you know. Cut that tag end off here, it's a bit damaged. And again, ice fishing line, 2 swivel, same thing. I used to ice fish a lot in Wisconsin. I lived right in the Mississippi, so I like had a 10-minute drive for some awesome ice fishing, like insane ice fishing out there. I'd love to do the early ice. Early ice fishing out there is just incredible. And we target usually panfish. That was always my thing. Lots of panfish, you know, going in with tip downs. We built our own tip downs. If you don't know what tip downs are, I wish I had one here right now, but they're in the storage still. This is a tip up, you know, where the flag goes up. A tip down is basically like a wooden construct, like almost this wooden pole that's standing perpendicular to the ice, and then you rest one of those older looking ice fishing rods on there that has the reel on top. And you just kind of set them up like this, and when the fish bites, instead of it going up like a tip up, the tip downs just tip down like this, and then they bounce around. You know you have a fish on there, and they're incredibly fun for panfish. Easy to build too. I should probably, I took videos way back when we built them. Maybe I'll just have to rehash those and see if I can put a little short together for YouTube here on how we built them, because it was pretty easy and fun to do. So again, just fisherman's knot. Get that tightened up. Also in Wisconsin, you know, my favorite thing was always early ice for perch. Right in Mississippi, they have what we called Mississippi Gold. They were the big jumbo perch, just like 2-pound perch. And I know where we're going here in Montana tomorrow. You can get some pretty big perch if you can find them. So that's the other goal this year, is walleye and perch. Figured them out. So Lindy asked, can you fish for ling? Yes, you can fish for ling. The tip-up rig is a little bit different there usually. I like to use a heavy weight for ling. So lings are burbot, and they kind of scour the bottom. So I use a pretty heavy weight to keep that bait kind of on the bottom, and a bit bigger line, because the ling out here can get pretty big. My brother, 2 years ago, I think we caught like a 29-inch ling in the middle of the night. What did Mike say? Mike said, laundry reminding me of my favorite frog legs. Laid over bacon, brown sugar sprinkled on the strawberry, mashed over, wrap the bacon around and foil over the hot coals. When done with meat, put bones back. Wait, so you're actually talking like making frog legs here? I've always wanted to do that, like go out and catch some frogs, and I think bullfrogs are the ones you want to go get for that. There's definitely some edible frogs here in the U.S. She says Tafal cooks them, or Mike says Tafal cooks them in the juices. Bones should eat like potato chips. Ooh, I like that. Gerald's asking, where are you going tomorrow? Well, we're going to Lake Helena, which is exciting. And we'll see. There's Canyon Ferry Reservoir close by. We're just gonna, I don't think the ice there has really gotten to the point where it's safe yet. But Lake Helena already has a bunch of fishermen. So hopefully the ice is still good tomorrow, but it should be. Should be good. Oh, Mike said Lindy. Oh, he didn't mean to say laundry. Yeah, autocorrect sucks. I agree. So again, we're doing a 5-foot leader on here. Pretty long, but it'll just stay a bit more discreet that way, our whole tackle setup here, because the walleyes can get finicky. And my buddy did actually say I should also maybe just tie the leader straight to the ice fishing line for where we're about to fish, because the walleye there are especially finicky. Now I'm just going to see how this goes. If I have to tomorrow, I'll adjust accordingly. Yeah, you know, I have a lot of good ice fishing memories in Wisconsin. One of my favorite times was early ice with my buddy Caleb Casper. Shout out Caleb if you're going to watch this recording later or coming in live at all. We went out with like 2 inches of ice, and we're on the Mississippi, so there's current, so it can get a bit sketchy. But he's a lot smaller and lighter than me, so it was crazy because with the little bit of ice, you always got to make sure you're like drilling holes, you know, as you go deeper, like further out in the ice, just to make sure that, you know, you're checking the ice thickness, because early ice stuff can get pretty sketchy. So I just remember we're drilling holes, trying to see how thick it is, and as we go further out in the ice, it's like beginning to crack under my feet. So I'm like, no way, I'm staying back. And Caleb was able to go a little further than me, but yeah, I've never fallen through. I fell through once through the ice with like a single leg, but it wasn't anything sketchy really where I fell all the way in. I was still soaked, and I kept fishing though, because we're degenerate fishermen over here. Just how it goes. But yeah, on that day, also when that was happening, when Caleb and I went out, there was a layer of rain, like fresh rain that was on the ice that hadn't frozen yet. And on the Mississippi, there's a lot of people ice fishing in airboats, which is super cool, by the way. Like, if you have the chance, I've never had the chance to do it, but if you have the chance to go and ice fish in an airboat, that's nice because you can get around pretty easily. Oh, I got a little I got a little bit of damage here. I'm gonna have to retie this part. We're gonna retie that. Yeah, so that airboat, so long story short, we were out there, and then an airboat was coming, and it created this wake on top of the ice because there was water from the rain on top of the ice. And I could just see this wake coming at us, and this airboat maybe like 50 yards going past us. And I'm just like, oh crap, because the ice was literally from that wake was like starting to move and bend. So I'm like, Caleb, screaming, you know, like, come back, because he was out in a really sketchy part of the ice. And yeah, I could just see that wake come at me, and I thought for sure, oh my God, we're screwed. This is gonna break the ice. And I could just feel myself get lifted a little bit from that moving ice. And thankfully we did not break in, but that was definitely sketchy. So, you know, be safe out there. If you're going ice fishing this year, it's a good idea. Lindy said, Mike, I definitely need to try out frog legs. That sounds absolutely killer. Yeah. Frog legs are something we've always wanted to do. I don't know if there's any species around Montana that you can eat, or I haven't looked into it too deeply. I wonder if you can eat all frogs. Probably. At least here in the northern parts, I've never heard of like poisonous frogs. I know there's the poison dart frogs, which are pretty cool, but they're more in the Amazon. All right, here we go. I didn't want to keep that little dink in there because nothing sucks more than finally having that tip up flag go up and you go out and you realize the fish broke the line, you know. You don't want that happening. But yeah, that's one thing I kind of do miss out here. There's not really many panfish in Montana. And ice fishing is definitely like pretty big out here, but it's nothing like in Wisconsin. So on this one, let's put a little red hook this time. Let's get 5 feet out. Let's see how much I got here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Line down. 5. All right, that should be good. Can always cut it down if I have to. Pick that up. All right, pink hooks. This is size 6. I like size 8 hooks, but I could not find pink ones in size 8, so we're going with size 6. Just little pink ones. Laser octopus, fluorescent pink, long shank, all purpose. We'll see how these do. I know some people also like to add little beads to their rigs, but I think that's more a thing if you can use live minnows, because as the minnow is moving around, it's going to create a little bit of a rattle. And some fish, you know, like that. It does kind of suck that we can't use live minnows out here, but it is how it is. I'm going to try the frozen minnows this year. I'm going to try salting them. I've never tried to make my own salted minnows, but in most of the Montana ice fishing forums, that's what people are saying to do for walleye. Or leeches. But I could not find any leeches locally in the shop, so I'm hoping when we get to our spot tomorrow, Lindy's brother Garrett will have found some leeches for us. That's another thing that walleyes tend to eat out here. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I wouldn't be too mad if we can get into some big brookies. I love brook trout. Rainbows and brown trout, I don't know. I used to fly fish a lot, and I still love fishing for trout, don't get me wrong, but I kind of got sick of them a bit. Eating trout all the time. All right, pink hook is on. It's looking good. Like I said, I'm just gonna do split shots tomorrow when we're there, once I can get a bit of a better gauge of how the current is at the spot. We're gonna get there pretty early for the early bite. I think we're trying to be there at like 6 a.m. Could be a bit earlier, but we're going in a big group, so it's the first time. I also like having a bit of light around, especially if it's early ice, so don't like to go too early and then just be out there drilling a bunch of holes when I can't see super well. Can't get a feel for what's going on too much. Oops. What is Mike saying here? Mike said, don't eat leopard frogs in your area without checking regulations. Okay, so I guess there's regulations on eating frogs. That's interesting. I know it's a big thing like down south, I think. I think there's a lot of people going after frogs. I've seen some cool videos. People going out in boats and at night and shining for frogs and stuff like that. Yeah. Mike, you said sounds like they home in on blood. What do you mean, the frogs or the walleyes? Would make sense for the walleyes, I guess. They do like blood. They do like the fresh fish, and they do like the moving. I don't know. I always feel like with tip-ups, the more realistic you can get, the better. You know, live fish, ideally. We'll be jigging too, for sure. Each of us will have a jigging rod. I don't think I have them down here. Let me check quick. All right, we got the second tip up down. 1 sec, I'll be right back. Let's see. What else I bought? Oh, I don't have them here, it looks like. Yeah, I don't. I have them upstairs, but they're spoons, Buckeye, I think, no, buckshot spoons from Northland Tackle, the tungsten. That's what we'll be using mostly. And then I do have different sizes of jigs. Again, pink, where we're going, is pretty good. So I got a glow tungsten pink jig here. Got some glow in the dark ones. What's also cool about ice fishing here in Montana is that since the water is so darn clear most of the time, you can sight fish, like in a shanty. You know, you darken up your shanty all the way. You don't even need a Vexilar or like a sonar device. You just kind of look down the hole and you can see all the way to the bottom. So you see the fish swimming by and going after your jig, and that's really fun. So Mike's saying for walleye, yeah, they do like the blood. I think they do like just the real baits, some of that scent too. We also got tip ups like these. I already got these rigged up. I do still have to put hooks on these, I think. Yeah, I do. These are pretty cheap ones too. I think they were like $15 to $20 a pop. Let's see. I just got a bunch. Like, these aren't my favorite because they don't have insulation. You can get pads to put on top of the holes so that things don't freeze over as much. I'll have to do that. But, you know, since we can have 6 lines out there, it's going to be good to just have some backups. Let's put another pink hook on one of these, single hook. For walleye, I don't really like to do too much fried fish. I don't know, I'm kind of weird with fried food. I don't really eat many carbs. And I don't really like frying stuff in seed oils ever. So if we get some walleye, I'll just probably bake him, or if we fried him, we'll fry him in some nice tallow. You know, we still have some rendered tallow, I think. If not, we'll have to make some. Get some quality fat from beef and make our own tallow there. But there's good ways to cook the walleye. I mean, they're definitely one of the best fish out there to eat. Also the perch, man, if I can just figure out one of the species this year, I'll be pretty happy. So again, I come from fishing a lot of panfish in Wisconsin, and we would go after crappie, bluegill, and perch usually, and those are just the best in my opinion, eating wise. Easy to catch, make for a fun day on the ice, and you can get a lot of them. I think the Mississippi had like a 25-man limit on panfish, which that's a lot of fish. A lot of fish to clean, but always good. I tend to also, like panfish, I would always freeze them whole in like a Ziploc bag with water. So it's like a block of ice basically. That I found at least keeps them fresher longer in the freezer. And I tend to do that with all fish these days. Like if I make fillets, I just freeze them in a block of water. Just keeps them for a little longer that way. Okay, let's see. This is getting all tangled up here already. Yeah, if you guys have any more questions, let me know. Or if you have any cool ice fishing info to share, drop it in the chat. I'll make sure to read it out loud for everyone to hear. Or if you have any more like ideas for how I can successfully target walleyes, let me know. I do have a Vexilar, like a sonar, so that helps a ton. I don't really like ice fishing without one. So in that case, technology is welcomed. Like, I like having that ice fishing technology There we go. Third tip up is done. We also got a bunch more videos ready to go. I still have a few videos from last season to get out to you guys. There will be a video on how we make service berry cakes. Let me grab those quick. They're pretty sweet. So this will be an upcoming video on how to make these. We made them earlier in the year. Service berry cakes. My favorite way to preserve service berries. They can be easily made into these little patties and then dehydrated. And this is how the natives did it, the indigenous people, forever. That's how they preserved it. And this crumbled up in some trail mix. Amazing, so tasty. So yeah, that video will be out. Then we also have one on us making some choke cherry juice. What else? We made traditional German pretzel bread with my parents when we were visiting in Wisconsin over the Christmas break. Those are gonna be, or those are really tasty, and that's gonna be a fun video. My stepdad is starring in the video, and he's kind of like the baker in the family. He's really figured it out. And pretzel bread is, you know, it's easy to make, but there's some steps you got to take to make sure you do it safely, because you're working with lye and stuff like that. So it can be a bit dangerous. But we go over all that in the video. Got that coming. Then tomorrow, like I said, we'll be filming our first ice fishing trip of the year. And hopefully we catch something. That should make for a fun video. Lindy's going. Lindy got the full ice fishing setup this year. She got some bibs for Christmas, floating bibs. I got her a rod and some new ice fishing gloves. So she's set to go. And then her brother's coming with his girlfriend, and my brother Pius, who you might have seen on the channel before. He's kind of the tip-up man in the family. He's done a lot more tip-up fishing than me. I used to be only like a jig fishing kind of guy for ice fishing. I just love getting into those panfish and just pulling one after the other up through the ice with the Vexilar, with the sonar. It's fun. All right. Are we at 400 followers, subscribers yet? That'll be fun. We're still at 399, I think. All right, if anyone new is watching right now, give us that subscribe. You can be number 400. Lindy's asking the chat, does everyone else do a cookout on the ice when they go? I think she says that's her favorite part. Hot food and cold ice is the best. I would agree. Hot food on the ice is amazing. We have a Brio fire pit. If you guys haven't looked at the Brio fire pits, you definitely should. They're these smokeless fire pits made in Pennsylvania, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and they're just, I have the X series. They're really light, easy to bring along, and they're great for ice fishing. You can just put it in your sled, pull it out there. I think the whole fire pit is like 30 pounds if even. Really light, easy to set up, and you can grill out in the ice over some hot wood coals. That's super fun. I think we'll bring some, we should bring some of our forage teas that we made over the summer. We have a video on pineapple weed that we turned into tea, and then fireweed. We still got big jars of those left. If you haven't seen those videos yet, I highly recommend you do. Those are two species that are pretty widespread in the US and definitely should be on your foraging list. Medicinal too, to an extent. All right. We'll probably do this one, and then I'll probably end the stream here. But we'll see. If you feel like hanging out some more, you know, stay in here. Maybe I'll keep going. I'm wanting to do more live streams like this. Oh, what did I just do now? Oh, I just cut a bit too much here of my fluorocarbon leader. Again, I'm using the Invisalign 100% fluorocarbon 6-pound test for the walleye here. Mike said he made a prime rib, egg and bacon breakfast on a cast iron one morning on a duck hunt. Everyone said it was the best part. Yes, now we're talking. That's one thing I love about duck hunting too. It's just so social. I have some really fond memories of going duck hunting on the Mississippi with friends, and we just pull out our little camp cooker and a cast iron pan, making bacon early in the morning and eggs. Yeah, but a prime rib, that sounds really good. Ooh, one thing we did ice fishing once, we made, well, we actually had someone there that made it, but they made little breakfast sandwiches. They used the Ikazil flour breakfast muffins, the like sprouted grain muffins, and then eggs and kimchi. If you guys have never done that, holy crap. Just the kimchi with a sunny side egg on there, that's good. It was incredible. We also love bringing out just some stew. Stew is always a hearty stew in the ice. That's good stuff as well. Mike said he made a Dakota stealth fire pit. Never heard of that. I want to have to look that up. That sounds interesting. Is it like a rocket stove kind of deal? I know you can like use snow to build a rocket stove. Actually, one of the videos I want to do this year is trying to cook fish on our engine. You know, like I want to get more into some survival cooking techniques and test them out and just show you guys how it goes. So the goal will be for one of the videos to basically see if it's possible to cook some fresh catch with the residual engine heat, or just we'll probably have the engine on. I don't know. I've been looking into it a bit. From what I understand, most people just wrap the food in tinfoil and then they kind of set it by the engine while the car's running. Even read a Reddit thread of one guy. He was saying he's a trucker and he was saying he cooks his breakfast like that every day. He always like puts his stuff in tinfoil, puts it by the engine and actually drives. And then when he gets to his location, usually, you know, after a while, the food is ready. Sounds pretty cool. I know there's a whole cookbook out there on cooking with engine, or cooking on the engine. I'll probably have to get that. Seems like something I should know how to do. Lindy says prime rib and bacon. That sounds so good. My favorite so far is mulled wine and chili. Oh yeah, that was a good day. We were out there with a bunch of people, brought that mulled wine and some chili. I remember that. Yeah, mulled wine on the ice is another tradition we like to do. Especially if you have newcomers that have never ice fished before, you know. Maybe they're a bit nervous being out in the ice. Get them a little drunk. Gets the excitement and fun up for them. Yeah, prime rib though. I assume, Mike, you brought prime rib like already cooked out there and you're not baking it in there somewhere. Like already pre-cooked and you're cutting it up and just kind of doing a, you know, I don't know how you call that, just a skillet, I guess. Breakfast skillet. Treble hook is on. Good to go. Mike said the fat was so good, I bet. That's always some of my favorite part on beef, or even just with the bacon grease, my God. We're not afraid of fat on this channel. We're all for eating lots of saturated fat. It's good for you. I'll have to do some videos sometime about the whole like controversy with fat is bad and the history of the sugar industry paying off doctors back in the day to push this low-fat narrative. It's a real thing if you look into it. Look it up. There's a lot of articles on it online, like from reputable sources too. I've been fueled by fat for many, many years now. I did keto for like almost 10 years, I think. And it's, for me at least, it's a way better way to eat than eating a high carbohydrate diet. It just makes me feel better. But obviously, you know, everyone's got to kind of figure out what works for them there. I used to demonize carbs, not so much anymore. Especially if they're coming from real food sources. I think the carbs are just fine. How many people we got in the chat? We got 5 people in here. That's awesome. Well, I guess I'll do one more then. We'll do our last one, our orange one. This one's a bit different. I think this is a Frabil, I think is the brand. I do like wooden tip-ups too, especially the beaver dam ones. Those are my favorite. But they're also pricey. And since I really wanted quantity this year, since again, if you just joined the chat or the live stream, where we're going, we can have 6 lines per person, which is crazy. It's a lot of lines in the water. So there's going to be 5 of us. So we could theoretically have, what, 30 lines out there? That's nuts. But I guess you got to take advantage of that. And especially since I can't use live minnows, it'll be good to just be able to cover different depths. Like I'm going to have tip-ups at all different, you know, depths in the water, just to kind of see where in the water column those fish are hanging out in. We're probably going to do a pretty, depending on how the ice is, we'll probably do a pretty widespread. Gerald's in the chat. Gerald, you're going to have to come out there with us this year and experience the mulled wine on the ice for yourself. Warms you from the inside. I did also get a new shanty. So you'll see what shanty I got tomorrow when we do the live, the vlog, the fishing vlog. It'll be the first time I actually have it on the ice, so maybe we'll do a little review. We'll just talk a bit about it how we like it so far. I really hope the wind isn't too crazy when we film tomorrow, because it can get pretty wild out here. That's why it's always a good idea out here to definitely anchor down those shanties. Mike says, good luck out there in the ice. Stay dry. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for coming into the chat. Appreciate you, as always, joining us here. Adding some good value to these live streams. All right, let's do some more leader. Yeah, and we might get into some ling, hopefully, too. I know they're spawning in the rivers right now. The burbot. There's not a lot of meat on them, but man, do they taste good. They call them the poor man's lobster. Their meat is kind of like very similar to lobster meat in color and texture. And just boil them in some water, add a bunch of butter. It's going to make for a good dinner. I think I still have some tip-ups. I have some green ones too that we still have rigged up for burbot, so I'll have to throw some of those out. Gerald said she would be there for mulled wine. We have to make some for sure. Mulled wine on the ice. What else could we make out there? Something warm, maybe some hot cocoa. We could do some Irish coffee. That'd be fun. Some quality whiskey. All right. 5 feet of leader again. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's about 5 foot. That should be good enough. Let's do another pink hook, single hook. Treble hooks are obviously a bit more effective just because you got more chance of hooking something, but again, those walleyes are finicky. I'm really hoping some perch tomorrow too. But if I get anything, I'll be happy. Especially since we're going to a new spot. I want to do more live streams like this when we're like processing wild food and stuff like that too. So I hope you guys like it. Hope you guys just like to come and hang out. I love the chat interaction. Oh, also, I just dropped a video on Victory Gardens. If you haven't seen that yet, check it out. The Victory Garden video, it's just a rant about why I think we should bring him back and some history. I found some crazy facts about them that I did not know about before. And that should be the newest video on the channel right now. Crazy stuff. Crazy how effective that movement was, that whole Victory Garden movement. All right, we'll get this put on here. And then for the rest of the day, I'm just going to rig up our poles. And from there, we are probably just going to do a relaxed day. I do have to get like everything packed up so we're ready to go in the morning. Nothing worse than having to pack up your gear in the morning before you head out. I'd rather just wake up, put my gear on, my apparel on, and make some nice coffee and hit the road. What I don't like about this orange one is it doesn't have an easy really way to put the line on the spool. You know, usually the spools have like a little thing to hold on to. All right. Cool. All right, guys. I think I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much for chiming in. We'll do more of these in the future. And for all of you fishermen out there, tight lines. Go get it. Bye-bye.